Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm your host, Jeffrey, and subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Now, on Thursday night in the ACC, there's a very interesting game between the Virginia Tech Hokies traveling at the NC State Wolfpack. Who do I think is going to win this game? Let's break it down. Now, Virginia Tech is 2-5 and 1-3 in the ACC in Brent Pry's first season as head coach. Things have not gone well for the Hokies, but they're trying to get things turned around. They lost in week 1 at Old Dominion 20-17. Obviously, this was a game that was very interesting. It was on the road at a group of 5, and Old Dominion, their elevator messed up, and the Virginia Tech coaches staff could not get up to the top for about 30 minutes, and it just delayed the whole game. So it was a mess, but Virginia Tech lost, and it was just a bad result overall for them. Then they beat Boston College 27-10, and obviously Boston College is really struggling this season. But then they beat Wofford 27-7, and that was a good win, but it's been all downhill from there. They lost to West Virginia 33-10. They were not close in their rivalry game against West Virginia in the Black Diamond Trophy game. They weren't even close. Then they lost at UNC 41-10. Also, they were not competitive in this game. They lost at Pittsburgh 45-29. A little bit better result, but still a loss. And then they lost to Miami 20-14 in a game they maybe could have won, but they couldn't get it done. And in that Miami game, quarterback Grant Wells, the Marshall transfer, had 179 yards and a touchdown and 35 rushing yards and a touchdown. He's a decent quarterback, but he is turnover prone, and he is definitely not exactly the upgrade that Virginia Tech was looking for since Hendon Hooker has transferred to Tennessee. Grant Wells is trying, but I don't think the guy that's going to be able to take Virginia Tech back to the places that they want to be. Running back Malachi Thomas at 41 yards and 43 receiving yards and a touchdown. He's a dual threat running back, very solid, and he's definitely going to be a decent player for Virginia Tech for the rest of the season, and maybe even going to be a great player in the future for Virginia Tech. Wide receiver Dwayne Lofton at 40 yards. He's a decent receiver. And on the defensive side of the ball, defensive back Jalen Stroman at 5 tackles, defensive lineman John Garbutt at 3 tackles, and linebacker Alan Tisdale at 2 tackles for Virginia Tech against Miami. Virginia Tech's defense needs to improve. In some games they've been decent, but in other games they've given up way too many points. So if they can improve that, maybe they can start winning some games. Now, on the NC State side, they are 5-2 and 1-2 in the ACC to start the season, and Dave Doeren has done a really good job at head coach of NC State. And NC State looked like they were going to have a banner year for the program, but unfortunately, quarterback Devin Leary is hurt for the rest of the season, and that is what's really putting NC State behind the 8 ball, and that's what's really making them struggle in their last couple games. They started out the season with a close win over East Carolina 21-20 in a game that they could have lost if East Carolina had just hit a field goal, but they did escape there. And then they beat Charleston Southern 55-3. That was a good win. And then they beat Texas Tech 27-14. Then they beat UConn 41-10. That was a good win. But then they lost to Clemson 30-20. And this was a game that they were trying to be competitive in, but they could not beat Clemson. And that was what a lot of people were maybe thinking that NC State could do, was knock off Clemson, and they could not do it. Then they beat Florida State 19-17, and that was a decent win. But unfortunately for NC State, Devin Leary went down. And then against Syracuse, they lost 24-9, and their offense just sputtered with Devin Leary gone. And backup quarterback Jack Chambers, he had 160 yards and 58 rushing yards. He is trying to replace Devin Leary, but he is not Devin Leary at this time. And if he can improve, he will definitely help NC State win some games in the future. Running back Jordan Houston had 44 yards, and wide receiver Keon Lazane had 39 yards against Syracuse. Obviously, NC State's offense is not the same without Devin Leary, but if they can just be average on offense, I think they can win some more games. And on the defensive side of the ball, linebacker Isaiah Moore had 6 tackles, safety Tanner Engel had 5 tackles and an interception, and linebacker Drake Thomas had 2 tackles for NC State against Syracuse. NC State's defense is going to have to step up more with Devin Leary's absence, because when your offense is struggling, your defense has to do even more to help you win games. So who do I think is going to win this game? If Devin Leary was available for NC State, I don't even think this would be a close contest, because it's at NC State, and I don't think that Virginia Tech would be able to go on the road and win at NC State with Devin Leary. But since Devin Leary is not available, with quarterback Jack Chambers as the backup QB playing for NC State, their offense is not as good, and I think Virginia Tech has a chance to win this game with NC State's offense not being as good, and Virginia Tech can only win low-scoring games like how they barely lost to Miami 20-14. I think Virginia Tech has a chance in this game, and I think they can win. But I'm going to go with NC State to win 21-17 over Virginia Tech. I know NC State's offense is not the same, but they still have more talent than Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech has been really struggling to win games this season, and it's at NC State, and I think Dave Doeren's team is going to find a way to beat Brent Pry's team. I think it's going to be very, very close because NC State's offense is not going to be able to pull away, but I think think NC State overall on offense and defense is still better than Virginia Tech, and I have NC State winning over Virginia Tech 21-17. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below whether you think Virginia Tech or NC State's going to win this game and why, and I will see you next time.